All right, this is going to be the review for the midterm for the online, and I'm going to call it Key. He's going to have the answers. So we're going to perform the indicated operations and simplify here, starting with number 1. So number 1 is 3 times 4x minus 3. So 3 times 4x minus 3. The indicated operation, there's nothing to do inside here, so then we're going to take this 3 and distribute it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to distribute the 3. So I'm going to take this 3 and distribute it. Sometimes I like to circle that. 3 times 4x is what? 12x. And then 3 times negative 3 is minus 9. So 12x minus 9 is the simplified answer there, which is C. 12x minus 9 is the simplified answer there. It is C. So then number 2. 9x minus 2x. So I'm just going to write it down again in case it's harder to see. 9x minus 2x is going to be what? 7x. If I have 9 of something minus 2 of something, I end up with 7 of them. 7x is B right here. So B is going to be the final answer there. Number 3. Number 3 is sorry. Let me do this. Number 3 is 15 plus 6 times 3x minus 2. So again, order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. There's nothing inside the parentheses, so then I go to distribute the 6. So I'm going to take a different color here, maybe this blue here, and I'm going to take this. Oh my goodness, what is it doing? It's not supposed to do that. I'm going to take this 6 and distribute it here. So this is going to be 15 plus 6 times 3 is 18x, and then 6 times negative 2 is minus 12. So now do I have any like terms here to combine these? So I'm going to have my 15 and my minus 12 is going to be 3 plus 18x. That's also the same thing as 18x plus 3, right? The order doesn't matter as long as the 18x is positive and the 3 is positive. 18x plus 3 is D. So C, B, and D for the first 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip over here and check, and C, B, and D is correct for those. So we'll just kind of run through them and check them from time to time to make sure that we have them correct here. So now let's come back over here. Let's look at number 4. 10 plus a minus 10. If you've been watching my videos, you know I don't like plus a minus, right? So 10 minus 10, because plus a negative means minus. If you're adding a negative, that means leave it negative. If you subtract something, you change the sign. If you add it, you leave it. We're adding a number, we leave it. It was negative, we leave it negative. 10 minus 10 is 0. So then 0 is C for number 4. C for number 4. Oh, I know what's going on. Hang on, I'm going to change a mode here. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Mode. Teaching mode. Here we go. Now it should not jump whenever I get to the top of the screen and stuff. It was driving me crazy, but now you can't see that. So I'm going to have to change my mode back. Now you've already seen it. You can rewind the video if you need to. I'll just write on the screen now. If you need to go back, you can go back and see it. And I may have to adjust what I have here for some of these. So then negative 8 plus 3. Well, you have a negative and a positive. If the signs are different, we subtract. That's why when you have subtraction, you learn it. It's called the difference. The signs are different. So 8 minus 3 is 5, and then you take the sign of the larger one, which is negative. So negative 5 is your answer for number 5, which is B. And again, this is a review. If you need more, go back and watch the videos, right, or pause it, rewind it, whatnot. So again, 2 plus negative 20. So for number 6 over here, 2 plus negative 20, but again, I don't like plus or minus. I don't like plus or minus. So 2 and 20, and is it plus 20 or minus 20? Well, plus and negative is minus, right? If you're adding something, you keep that sign the same. Keep it negative. 2 minus 20, signs are different. You subtract. 20 minus 2 is 18, and you take the sign of the larger here is negative. So negative 18 is number 6, which is D. So let's go over here again. Let's go check. Let's go check 1 through 6. We've already checked 1 through 3, so let's check 4, 5, and 6. So come back over here. We got C, B, D, and then the next 3 is going to be C, B, D again. Is that what we got over here on the first page? CBD, yes it is, okay? Indeed, it is the same thing. So let's go ahead and work 7 and 8 and check those, and then we will move on to the next page. So number 7 has negative 25. It has plus 5. So those are already just one sign each. We're good. What I don't like is plus the negative 4. I have plus a negative 4 if you can't read it. So I don't want plus a negative 4. I want one sign right here. That's going to be a minus, right? So that's going to give me negative 25 plus 5 minus 4. So we're going to put together two things at a time here. We're going to put together two things at a time. Negative 25 plus 5. Signs are what? They're different. So 25 minus 5 is 20. You take the sign of the larger, it's negative. And then bring down your minus 4, right? So then the signs are the same or different? They're both negative, right? They're the same. So we add them together. 20 plus 4 is 24, and we keep the sign the same. So negative 24, which in this one is A. A for number 7. We're going to talk about number 8. We have 1/5. This is number 8. 1/5, and I may should start the next page with it, but I'll try it. That's plus a negative 2/3. Plus a negative 2/3. Again, I don't like this. I don't like plus a negative. I want one sign. The one sign between there is going to be a minus. That's not a minus. So I'm going to take it, it's going to be 1/5 minus 2/3. So anytime I deal with fractions, adding or subtracting, I have to find a common denominator. What is my LCD here? Well, between 5 and 3. 3 will not divide into 5, right? So that means I need to say, okay, what's the smallest number that both 3 and 5 divide into? Well, 5 times 2 is 10. Does 3 go into 10? Because we take the largest and take multiples, right? 5 times 3 is 15. Does 3 go into 15? Yes. So my LCD is 15. Then I say, okay, what do I multiply by 5 and 3 to get 15, right? What times 5 gives me 15? That's right, 3. So put a 3 in the bottom and a 3 in the top. And when you multiply it straight across, 1 times 3 is 3. And then 5 times 3 down here is what? 15. Then you bring your minus sign. You've already taken care of that. What about this one? What do I multiply by 3 to get 15 here? Yep, 5. So you put a 5 here and a 5 here. Again, straight across, 2 times 5 is what? 10. 3 times 5 is what? 15. Now you have a common denominator of 15 down here, right? So that means my answer is going to have 15 in it, right? I'm going to come up here just because I don't have room. Equals something over 15. Well, it's going to be what? 3 minus 10. What is 3 minus 10? Negative 7. So there's your answer, negative 7 over 15. The other way you could write that, by the way, is negative out front, 7 over 15. You can have the negative out front or the negative up in the top with the 7. So negative 7 over 15, which is C. So let's go back and check 7 and 8 and see if they're A and C. Okay? Go back and check for A and C right here. And indeed, 7 and 8 are A and C. So now let's go back to the next page. Pick up on number 9. It's the first page on your printout copy. It's just I tried to make it a little larger and a little easier for you to see here. So here, 12 minus negative 5. Again, I don't like minus a negative. What does minus a negative become? Well, in minus sign, this minus sign says change this one here. That's what a minus means. So that's really going to be 12 plus 5 because this means plus. Okay? That means plus. So let me do that in a different color again. This minus a negative means you add it. So 12 plus 5. What is 12 plus 5? 17. There's your answer C. Okay? There's your answer C. And then 2/11 minus 7/11. Guess what? We already have a common denominator, which is what? I can write it out here, but we don't need to. We already have it, right? This is already over 11, and it's 2 minus 7. I just wrote it down. It's 2 minus 7, right? What is 2 minus 7? Negative 5, right? Because, again, 2 and 7 are different signs. 7 minus 2 is 5. Take the sign of the larger, which is negative, so negative 5 over 11. The other way you could write that is negative 5 over 11 like that, okay? So that's going to be, there it is. Got the negative out front. D. So 2, number 11 is 2 plus 7y minus 9y. So number 11 is 2 plus 7y minus 9y. Do I have any like terms here? Well, yes. Those are like terms. And notice I included the plus with the underline because that plus goes with the 7y. So again, I say, do I add them or subtract them? The 2 stays out front, right? 2, this is number 11. 2, and then positive and negative. We subtract. What is 9 minus 7? 2. And if I always say this, if you combine like terms, you get a like term. So if I put y's together, I get y's if I'm adding and subtracting. So 7y minus 9y is 2y, but wait a minute, which one's bigger? This one, so my negative goes here. So 2 minus 2y, which is C. C is 2 minus 2y. And then number 12, negative 32 times 1. Well, look, anything times 1 is itself. Then you got to take care of your signs. A negative times a negative is what? So here on this is negative 32 times negative 1. What is a negative times a negative? That's a positive, right? So that means this is going to be positive. What is 32 times 1? 32, which is D. And we'll just check all 5 of these at one time. And the last one on page 1, number 13, negative 4 times 2. What is a negative times a positive? It's negative, right? This is negative 4 times a positive 2. So a positive times a negative is negative. What is 4 times 2? 8. So that is C. So look, CD, CD, C. It bounces back and forth. CD, CD, C. So let's go look at this and see if it's CD, CD, C. C, C, D, C, D, C. Look at that. There it is. Oops. I don't like the way I drew that through that. So now we can move on to number 14, which will be on my next page here. Got those right. If you need to, go back, rewatch it, pause it, rewind it, whatever, right? Make sure you get them. Now we're dividing. Negative 32 divided by 8. Well, what is negative over a positive? Well, it's negative. Same rules as multiply. If you have one negative or an odd number of negatives, the final answer is negative. Even number of negatives is positive. Positives don't change any signs. So this is negative. So it's negative 32 over 8, which is negative. 32 over 8 is 4. So that is going to be answer choice B. Answer choice B. 0 divided by negative 81. 0 divided by anything that ain't 0. This is 0 over negative 81 is always going to be 0. If 0's in the top, the answer is 0 if what's in the bottom is not 0. 0 is neither positive nor negative. You don't have a positive number over negative. You have 0, which is neither over negative. If 0 is over a non-negative, if 0 is over a non-zero number, the answer is always 0. Always. So that one is just what I call a rule problem, basically. Do you know the rule of 0 over a non-zero number? The next one is a non-zero number over 0. Negative 93 over 0. Again, it's not negative over positive. It's negative over something else that ain't positive or negative. It's not negative 93 over 0. If you divide by 0, this is what we call undefined. Undefined. And I just abbreviate with UND, but it is undefined. And I don't mean und, the German word for and I've said that right in my videos and everything else. So, lecture videos I'm talking about. So, 0 over a non-zero number, 0. A non-zero number over 0 is undefined every time. No questions asked. It's just what it is. So, now a division sign. This is negative 32 divided by negative 4. Okay? So, negative 32 divided by negative 4. So, let's come over here for 17. Negative 32 divided by negative 4. That's another way you could write divided by as a fraction. Okay? And again, what is a negative divided by a negative? Positive. Same thing as negative times a negative. So this is a positive number. 32 over 4 is 8. So this is positive 8, which is C. So let's just go check these. B, C, D, C. B, C, D, C. So B, C, D, C. Boom, there they go. So far, so good, right? All checking out. Let's come back over here, and let's move on. 9 squared. This is 9 squared. What does 9 squared mean? It means 9 times 9, right? Times itself twice. That is 81. Oops. Where's 81? Let's look. That's B. B. That one's pretty straightforward. 9 squared. You got to know what squared means, but once you know, it's pretty straightforward. And then negative 10. Now notice this is negative 10 in parentheses squared. And that parentheses matters because when you square something that's in parentheses, you square all of it. Negative 10 times negative 10. Okay? And if you want to say this is 9 times 9, you can put in parentheses, dot between it, whatever. Doesn't matter. All right? But here, negative 10 times negative 10. And remember, what is a negative times a negative? Positive. So negative times negative is positive. 10 times 10 is 100. A negative number in parentheses is always going to be squared to an even power is always going to be positive. So that's going to be B for number 19. It is 100. What is the difference between 19 and 20? This one is not negative 8 in parentheses squared. It's just negative 8 squared, right? No parentheses. What that means is you have negative and it gets multiplied by 8 squared, which is 8 times 8, right? So what is 8 times 8? 64, and what's out front? A negative. It's the same thing as this negative 8 times 8. I mean, however you want to write it, or negative 8 times 8, you can put parentheses around it. I mean, there's different ways to write it, but it's just one negative sign when it's not in parentheses that's out front. You're only squaring the 8. 8 times 8, 64 with a negative out front. The answer is negative 64. So 18, 19, and 20 have all been B so far. B, B, B. And then 21, let's see, okay, is 2x to the 9th plus 5x to the 9th. So are those like terms? Well, here's how I know they're like terms. X to the 9th and x to the 9th. That's how I know they're like terms. So what is $2 plus $5? It's $7. Well, dollars not my like terms here. X to the 9th is. So 2 of them plus 5 of them is. So we have 2x to the 9th plus 5x to the 9th. And that equals 7x to the 9th. Which is the first choice over here, right? A. So B, 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 A. Let's check them. B, 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 A. For these next four. B, 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 A. There it is. Boom. Done. Now let's come over here, and we got some more of these on page 2 to do. (22) 8 squared minus 5 times 9. 8 squared minus 5 times 9. And again, we're going to use PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please, P parentheses, not here. Excuse, E is exponents. Do I have any exponents? Yes. So the first thing I'm going to do is this 8 squared, which is what? 64. 8 times 8. And then minus 5 times 9. Okay? That's a dot for times. Now, I've taken care of my exponents. Now I do multiply and divide, and here's the key. You multiply and divide as you get to them from left to right. So if you get a division first, you do that first, and then you multiply. So it's not always multiply before divide. It could be PEMDAS, remember. So here I have 64 minus 5 and negative 5 times 9. I do the multiplication first. This is the M, the multiplication over the subtraction. So this is going to be 64, and a negative times a positive is negative. 5 times 9 is 45. And then finally, I subtract 64. It didn't change colors like I asked it to, I thought. 64 minus 45 is 19. Right? 19, which is D. D. So that's the order of operations. You had to follow those there and see what answer came out. So that was 22. And then 23, 73 plus 7 over 3 squared minus 4. So when you have a fraction written like this, with a horizontal fraction line, which is my favorite way to write a fraction, we don't write it with slanted fractions, it is understood that you have parentheses around this and around this, okay? You have understood parentheses around the entire numerator and the entire denominator. So the reason I'm telling you that is I'm going to simplify this, 73 plus 7, and get what? 80. And then I'm going to simplify the bottom or denominator separately, right? So in here, I have an exponent. 3 squared is what? 9 minus 4. And then I keep going with this and say, how do I put that together? Well, 9 minus 4 is what? 5. So 80 over 5. And now I'm finally ready to divide this. 80 divided by 5 is 16. And 16 is D. 16 is D. And now we're going to solve the equation for the final 3 on page 2 here before we move on to the next page. So 24 says 7 equals B minus 13. If you remember, write your B, by the way, and don't think it's a 6. I don't want to get too much into teaching mode here. This is a review, but be sure you don't write that like a 6 and get all confused. But B minus 13 equals 7. The thing by itself is 7, so take the thing over here like it, the minus 13, and move it over. And when I say like it, I don't mean plus or minus like it. I mean they're both numbers that are constant. They're not variables. So how do I undo the minus 13 from both sides? I'm going to add it. It's going to cancel on the right. 7 plus 13 is 20 equals B, and there's your final answer. We have it solved in one step. 20 equals B, which is A. Little b equals 20. The answer is capital A because it's multiple choice. So 25, you have 9x equals 36. So what do? Well, all the x's are on one side, numbers on the other. We just divide by the coefficient. Divide by 9. So what does x equal? 36 over 9 is 4. And 4 is our final answer, which in this case is D. And that gives us one more on this page here. N over 4 equals 7. This is 26. So if you notice, I'm giving you rules. What do I do when I have a number equals something minus something? I add it to undo subtraction. Here, a number minus times x equals a number. Divide by the number times x, right? The coefficient. Over here, so a variable divided by the number equals a number. So I got to get rid of this 4 right here. How do I do that? I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. Okay? And I don't like the way that I've done this, so let me just erase this part of it, and start over. Let's see. Let me go back. So it was n over 4, and this was 26, right? I'll give myself a little more space so you can see it better. Multiply by 4. And then I'm going to remind myself, hey, this 4 is really over what? 1. That way I know I'm multiplying straight across 4n. I'm sorry. I do want to divide them out. 4 over 4 divides out to become 1. So all these 1s with n means n equals what? 7 times 4 is what? 28. So 28's right here. And what they're doing, by the way, with that is squiggly bracket, 28, close squiggly bracket. They're putting it in because it's a solution set. So if you're working the homework and you're typing in 28 and it keeps telling you it's wrong, if it doesn't already have the solution set for you, you have to key it in. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying just be aware of that if it wants it in that way. I don't think it does, but it might. So let's check these. DDADB. DDAB. No, DDADB. So DDADB, there it is. Let's try that again. DDADB. So now we just have a few left on the third page. So we'll start here with those. So this is 27 is 8 ninths x equals 64. By the way, you could have written this way. That's okay. Or. Now if you wrote this, That is wrong, okay? The x is not in the denominator. It's only in the numerator. So, or out beside it. It's over 1. So here, I have a denominator. My LCD here is 9. I'm a fan of multiplying everything by the LCD. That's what I like to do. So if I do that, I'm just going to go back to my blue I was using. That's going to divide out. Doesn't cancel, divides out. That's going to be 8x equals 9 times 64. You can multiply that out. You can leave it 9 times 64 right now. It is going to make for a big number. I'm going to leave it 9 times 64 only because I know that 8 is going to divide into 64. It's not necessary that you do this. You can do something else. Then I'm going to divide by 8. And I'm going to say, wait, 64 over 8 is 8, and this is 1. Now I have 9 times 8, right? And that's going to be, nope. That's going to be x equals 72. 9 times 8 is 72, which is right here. $72. Number 28. Negative x equals negative 11. I don't want negative x. I want what? Positive x. Well, what's the thing times negative x? It's negative 1. So just divide both sides by negative 1. That divides out, becomes positive 1x equals negative over negative is positive. 11 over 1 is 11. So x equals 11. And again, they have it in the squiggly brackets for the answer because it's a solution set. That's going to be B. So that's all those things are. It's just saying that's a set that is your solution. So let's look at number 29. I just realized when I changed it, it's hard to see number 31, but we can still answer it. We can still answer 31. So 29 is going to be 5r plus 4 equals 49. So we always undo addition and subtraction before we undo multiplication and division when we're doing solving an equation. But either way, we still look at it too, by the way. This 49 is by itself. We move the thing like it, which is the plus 4. How do I move it over? I subtract 4 from both sides. So 5r equals what? 45. And the thing I said was if you just have these things. But the thing by itself always tells you what to move. The 49, subtract the 4. Now we divide by 5 on both sides, and we get r equals 45 divided by 5 is 9. R equals 9, which is D. So let's look now at 31. I'm sorry, 30. I'm going to run out of room here. 30. That's all right. I'll just duplicate the next page or move it up. 6x minus 5. That's not x. 6x minus 5x minus 2x equals negative 2 minus 6. So like terms, 6x minus 5x is what? That's x minus 2x equals. So I'm just going to keep working on this side. Oh. X minus 2x. 1 minus 2 is 1, or 2 minus 1 is 1, but negative 1x. But wait a minute. If you want to leave that there here, I'm okay with that, but you don't ever leave the answer negative 1x. So what I'm going to do is take that negative 1 and get rid of it, because negative 1x is just negative x. And then I'm done simplifying that side. Now let's go to the other side. Negative 2 minus 6, they're both negative. 2 plus 6 is 8. Leave it negative, and then you just bring that down. But I'm not done, because what do I want? I want to divide both sides by negative 1 because of this coefficient right here, right? Negative over negative is positive. It's x equals, again, negative over negative is positive. 8 over 1 is 8. So x equals 8, which is C. So dB, DC, let's check those. dB, DC, there we go. We got 3 left. DC, D are the last 3. Oh, I have an extra page in here. Let's go ahead and take that page out. And let's go back here, and I'm going to move it. I'm going to move this page just a little bit to get that one back on here, 31. There it is. Let's move it all the way over. Go back and look. Oh, yeah, I used the blue. So here on 31, we have 11 minus 7, and then parentheses, x plus 2 equals 6 minus 2, parentheses, x plus 7. And I wrote over the clock, and I don't like that, so what I'm going to do is something that I can do on this that I can't do normally on a board, and I'm moving the whole thing down. That was a mistake. So I'm just going to have to undo everything. I'm just going to have to undo it because I messed up. All right, so 31, actually I can do it here. 31 is going to be, I'm just rewriting it, 11 minus 7 and then x plus 2 in parentheses. And then 6 minus 2 is on the other side of the equals, and then x plus 7 in parentheses. So again, order of operations, I'm going to do that to both sides of my equation. I'm going to simplify both sides of my equation. That's why I'm using the order of operations. So if I look at just the left-hand side, if I come over here and look at just the left-hand side, meaning over here, what do I do first? Well, is there anything I can do inside here? No. So what I do then is I'll take this negative 7 and distribute it. So I'll leave the 11 out front. Negative 7 times x is negative 7x. Negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. Am I done simplifying that side? No, because I have an 11 and a minus 14. Those are like terms. They don't have variables or constants. So 11 minus 14 is negative 3, and then minus 7x I'm going to bring down. And then on the other side over here, I'm going to say, okay, what about this side? Well, again, nothing inside here. So I'm going to take this negative 2 and distribute it. 6 minus 2x, right? Negative 2 times x. Negative 2 times 7 is minus 14. And again, I have 6 and minus 14 like terms. I don't mean I have a 6 again and a negative 14 again. I do have the negative 14, but I'm like terms again. 6 minus 14. We subtract. 14 minus 6 is 8. Sign of the larger is negative. And then minus 2x. That side is now simplified. There's nothing else I can do. So now I say, okay, well, what do I want to move? Well, it really doesn't matter. You pick it. I'm just going to move the negative 3x by adding negative 3, not x. Negative 3 by adding it to both sides. So if I do that, that cancels, and I'm left with negative 7x equals, again, subtract 5, sign of the larger, minus 2x, okay? Now, this is by itself. Move this other term over here with it. So how do I do that? I'm going to add 2x to both sides. If I do that, that cancels. Negative 7x plus 2x is negative 5x, and that equals negative 5. And then I'm going to subtract. I'm sorry, not subtract. I'm going to divide by negative 5. X equals what? Negative over negative is positive. 5 over 5 is 1. So the answer is just good old 1. Good old 1. So that was number 31. Number 32, x is greater than 32. X is greater than 19. Expressed as an interval notation. So on my number line, I always like to draw it on my number line. I'm going to draw it on my number line here. What number do I care about? 19. Which way is greater than? To the right. And then I shade that. If I shade that arrow, that represents what? Infinity, right? And because greater than to the right. Now, with greater than, there's no equals right here, right? So does this get a bracket or a parenthesis? In the old school, right, it got the open parentheses. If you cut that in half, an open circle. If you cut that in half, that's an open parenthesis. So this gets an open parentheses right here, this way. That leads me to open parenthesis, 19, comma, infinity. And infinity always gets a parenthesis, whether it's positive infinity or negative infinity. And your interval notation must be in order from smallest to biggest. 19 to infinity with parentheses around both of them is answer choice C. Is answer choice C. Oops. So now solve this and graph it on a number line. So number 33 is 5x minus 25 is greater than or equal to 15. And we're going to solve it and then graph it on a number line. So we're going to come over here. The first thing, this is by itself. And really with inequalities, I like to leave the variables on the left. It's not wrong if you don't, but I like to do that. So I'm going to move this over. If I do that, I'm going to add 25 to both sides. So this is going to be 5x left over here is greater than or equal to. I don't change that because I only change the direction of this greater than sign if I multiply or divide both sides by a negative. Here I just added 15 plus 25. Well, 10 plus 20 is 30. 5 and 5 is 10. 30 and 10 is what? 40. Punch in your calculator, okay? You don't see it quickly like that. And then we'll go back up this side. Divide both sides by 5. So then x is greater than or equal to 8. There's your inequality. That's part of your answer. And the other thing it said do was what? Put it on a number line. What number do I care about? 8. Which way do I shade? Greater than is to the right. That's going to be infinity over here. And then this time I get a bracket because of that equals down there. Because of this equals right here. Well, you know what? That's my number line. Yep. And then if I wrote interval notation, it would be bracket 8, comma, infinity. So let me just write that for review, but it's not part of this answer. Bracket 8, comma, infinity with a parenthesis. A gets a bracket, that gets a parenthesis. Let me take the circle off. This is just interval notation for bonus, just to have you have the information. So x is greater than or equal to 8. Oh, it actually gives it in interval notation. I'm sorry, it's not bonus. It says solve it. This really is solving, but that's not part of your answer. Here's your number line right here, and then here's your interval notation right here. So 8 to infinity with a bracket on the 8, that looks like D, doesn't it? Does my number line look the same? 8 with a bracket towards infinity, yep. So D is our final answer there, and I believe it was DCD for the last 3 anyway, and here it is DCD right down here, right? So that's all of them. We've checked them. I hope this helps, and this is the review for the midterm for beginning algebra. Nope, wrong one.